Besides the fact that the district is making you guys be here voluntarily, why are you really here?
Because they made us.
That's about it. Okay. 70% of the population consume alcohol at varying degrees. Okay. You have those that go out, have a couple of drinks, and call it an evening, and then you have those that are on a mission. Okay. You have to watch out for those that are on a mission and those that accidentally go too far. Okay. Today's legal climate is sue anybody they can for, do we have any attorneys in the room? For as much as they can, okay? And you as a bartender, for whatever function that you may be, standing on the backside of that bar, if you serve a visibly intoxicated person and they cause bodily injury to a third person, they can bring the lawsuit back against you as well as the district, okay? So you have to keep that in mind whenever you're attending bar. You're going to learn about the effects of alcohol on the body. We'll show some levels of intoxication. Those that took, anybody new this year that wasn't here last time? Right here. All right, we've got a handful. The rest of you probably already know the answers to all the vignettes that you'll see, but you'll see different levels of intoxication. All right. After that, part two is now you've recognized somebody that's had too much to drink. How do you deal with them? The hardest part about the class is recognizing or getting through the first part and recognizing the levels of intoxication. What you do with it afterwards is like 5 simple rules. Okay. There is a practice session. We have way too many people, so we'll cut the practice session out. Unless you really want to do it. Sure. Okay, I'm willing. All right. There is a test. As you saw, there's 50 spots on there. Do not sweat it. There's only 20 questions. Okay. I only had a handful of people fail the test. All right. If you are a bad test taker or have problems reading the questions, come see me. Right. I had an individual who did not read well at all. Never bothered to tell me. He didn't do too well. Okay? So, the class is designed to prevent public intoxication. It is not a prevent DWI class. Okay? That's an offshoot. It's great. You don't have a lot of people getting DWI if you follow the rules here. But that is not the intent. The intent is to prevent public intoxication. Skills. The best part of being a bartender is your ability to deal with the public. Right? Everybody has some sort of people skills. The better your people skills are, the better your ability to be a decent bartender. So, if you like people, you already possess some skills. If you don't like people, you're in the wrong business to start. The course is going to help build your confidence in how to deal with the public. And it was designed by bartenders, so everything you see here has been field tested, so it works. Okay? Some of the vignettes you look at and say, that's kind of hokey, I can't do that. Put your personality in that place and figure out how you would handle the situation, all right, while you're watching those sections. So the goals of the class are to establish acceptable standards. How do you do that? It's a joint effort between the policies set up here in this building, okay, whether it be a fundraising activity, whether it be just attending bar after a ball game, whatever, or a private party for private use. If you guys are attending bar, there should be rules set up, and the people that are using the facilities need to follow those rules. The rules need to be gone over with them by the people in charge. If you don't have rules in place, you're already behind the 8 ball. Okay? So some of the rules that are out there should state, you know, you will prove, you will request 2 forms of ID, and I'll get into why that later. You will shut people off, and you may ask people to leave. Okay? So people using your facility must be aware of those rules, so if it comes time that the bartender has to enforce something, it's already been gone over by the people using the facility, and should be good. your life easier. The hardest part about doing something like that is, chances are anybody that's using this hall, you know them. Chances are anybody in there that's being served, you know. So you're going to be put behind the 8 ball. Oh, come on, one more, don't worry about it. You know, you need to worry about it. Okay? So, that's the rules. Bartenders follow the rules. Bartenders should not be in the same condition as the people on the other side of the bar. Okay? An intoxicated bartender cannot recognize an intoxicated person. I'm sure you look okay to me. You need to maintain control, and that's anything from checking IDs to making sure that minors aren't getting alcohol from somebody else. You want to encourage responsible drinking. When I say that, I'm not telling you that you can't serve shots to somebody at a private function or something like that. What I'm saying is if you just serve the raw shots to 4 guys, they need to take time before they set them up again, okay? Because you'll find out each shot is a drink. And, you know, time is their enemy if you're doing multiple shots at any given time. I attended bar once for a wedding, and we still do that. And the people had their wedding in Mexico, and they came back with a list of exotic drinks and how to make them. I didn't know it was in a Long Island iced tea. I learned very quickly that it's 5 shots, okay? And there's no iced tea. So, and one guy ordered one. And I looked at it, I'm making it, and I said, I can't make this guy another one. You know, he weighed about 155 pounds, he'll be out. So he didn't come back. So anyways, encourage responsible drinking and avoid problem situations. It's always better to act than to react. Okay, we're going to play the first video, which I have to set up. It is scripted out for you on page 5, so you may follow along. Are you audio visual?
Oh, right here.
You have an important job. As a server of alcohol, your customers count on you to help them enjoy themselves and have a good time. Your managers rely on you to make money for the venue. Your community depends on you to prevent alcohol-related incidents. Some people may think these priorities conflict, but they don't have to. You can meet the needs of your customers, managers, and community by using the knowledge and skills you'll learn in this program. What tools do you need to assess your customers? How can you help them enjoy the event and keep them from becoming intoxicated? How can you provide great customer service? And what techniques can you use to quickly deal with problems that do come up? These are just some of the questions we'll address during this program. Tips is designed to help you build on the people skills you already have. You'll add knowledge and skills geared specifically toward preventing alcohol-related problems and taking care of your customers. Building on these skills, you'll learn how to spot the 4 behavioral cues that can tell you if a customer is approaching intoxication or is already intoxicated. You'll learn about 6 intoxication rate factors that affect how quickly a person may be affected by alcohol. You'll also learn about blood alcohol content, or BAC. And finally, how tolerance may make it harder to assess your customers. But being able to spot behavioral cues and intoxication rate factors isn't enough to handle problem situations. That is why we'll also give you guidelines for dealing with almost any problem that comes up while you're working the stand or selling in the aisles. Many people drink alcohol when watching a game, attending a concert, or enjoying a festival. Most people use alcohol responsibly, but some don't. Their drinking gets out of control, and so do they. You have to learn how to size up your customers. This will help you decide whether or not to serve them.
One beer, please.
One way to size someone up is by the behavioral cues they display. 4 basic cues can tell you when a person is or is becoming intoxicated. When people drink even small amounts, they tend to lose their inhibitions. At first, they're relaxed and talkative. They may even display mood swings. But as they drink more, they shed more inhibitions. This leads to the second cue, loss of judgment. Behavior becomes socially unacceptable. People with a loss of judgment may start using inappropriate language or throwing things in the stands. And because they lack judgment, they tend to overrate themselves. Poor judgment can also cause intoxicated customers to think that they're okay to drive when they're not. The third cue, slowed reactions, means that the thinking process has been affected. People with slowed reactions may lose their train of thought. They may forget that they've ordered another drink or where they're sitting. This cue also shows up in a glassy, unfocused eyes or in slurred speech. The final behavioral cue, poor coordination, can be seen when guests stagger, stumble, spill drinks, or fumble with their change. Guests may have trouble standing at their seat or bumping into people sitting near them. Drinking alcohol has progressive effects. The more a person drinks, the more cues you are likely to see. Intoxication rate factors affect how quickly a person becomes intoxicated and displays behavioral cues. There are 6 intoxication rate factors. The first is a person's size. Larger customers may be able to drink more without being as affected as smaller customers. However, if the larger customer's size is due mostly to body fat, the reverse can be true, since body fat does not absorb alcohol. The second intoxication rate factor is gender. Women tend to be smaller and have a higher percentage of body fat than men do. The third factor is the rate of consumption. The faster a guest drinks the alcohol, the more quickly the guest will become intoxicated. The fourth intoxication rate factor is the strength of the drink. A straight-up drink will be absorbed the fastest. A drink diluted with water will be absorbed more slowly. Remember, however, that any carbonated mixer may increase the absorption rate. It's important to understand that each of these drinks has about the same amount of pure alcohol. 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, and 1 ounce of 100 proof liquor. But remember, we are talking about measured drinks here. The figures aren't accurate if the drinks aren't measured. Glass sizes differ, and so does the amount of alcohol in various mixed drinks. Any kind of alcohol beverage can cause intoxication because they all contain pure alcohol. The fifth factor is drug use. There is no way to predict how a drug will react with alcohol. The last intoxication rate factor is food. Food in the stomach delays the absorption of alcohol into the body. A guest with a full stomach will not become intoxicated as quickly as a customer drinking on an empty stomach. Alcohol is unique because your body does not have to digest it before absorbing it. It can be absorbed directly into the bloodstream. So, how do we measure someone's intoxication level? Behavioral cues are your best way to assess visible intoxication, which can be grounds for arrest regardless of the amount of alcohol actually consumed. but laws rely on what is called blood alcohol content, or BAC, to determine intoxication. BAC is a measurement of the amount of alcohol in a person's blood. Every state or area has a legal BAC limit, at or above which it is illegal to operate a motor vehicle. BAC levels can only be accurately measured by a blood test or by breathalyzers. As a server of alcohol, you'll want to note some key points about blood alcohol content. The more alcohol a person consumes, the more behavioral cues you are likely to see and the higher the BAC level will be. A customer's BAC level can be different each time he or she drinks. Intoxication rate factors affect how quickly the BAC level rises. Time is the only thing that can lower a customer's BAC level. By relying on behavioral cues, intoxication rate factors, and your understanding of BAC, you should be able to assess each customer you serve. However, tolerance can make assessing your customers a little harder. Customers who drink alcohol frequently tend to have a high tolerance. They have learned how to mask some of the behavioral cues. Having a high tolerance has no effect on a person's BAC level or level of intoxication. Just because they aren't showing the typical cues doesn't mean they're not impaired. Customers who drink less frequently tend to have a low tolerance. They may show signs of intoxication after consuming only a small amount of alcohol. So far, we've talked about the cues that indicate when someone's had too much to drink, and about the intoxication rate factors that affect how quickly a person becomes intoxicated. We've also touched on blood alcohol content, and the idea that tolerance can make it harder to accurately assess your customers' levels of intoxication. That knowledge is helpful, of course, but you also need to understand the legal responsibilities that go along with serving alcohol. And you'll need guidelines for steps you can take when an incident occurs. When you work at a concession stand, you tend to work faster than if you were serving at a private party. At an event, people want to buy their food and drink and get back to whatever it is they paid to see. Whether you're working in the seats or at a stand, you only see each customer for a few seconds. But that's really all it takes to size someone up. If you are ever tempted to think, just serve this guy a beer and get him out of here, the line's a mile long, think again. Remember that you can be held legally responsible if you serve someone who's already had too much to drink. You already know you could lose your job. But did you know you could cost the management its liquor license? Or that you could be sued for any accident the customer may have? It's just not worth it. So if you have doubts about serving alcohol to a customer, don't serve. I know it's easier said than done. If you think a customer is intoxicated, what do you do? And what if the customer gives you a hard time while there's a line of impatient people waiting? That's why you may wish to use the following guidelines to help you make your decision to serve or not to serve, and to feel comfortable carrying it out. Serving alcohol responsibly begins with using ID guidelines. By sizing up your customer, asking yourself, should I serve alcohol to this person? First of all, make sure your customer is old enough to buy alcohol. You can't serve to underage customers, or to those who are trying to buy for them. To keep alcohol from falling into the wrong hands, be sure to ask for valid identification if there's any question in your mind about the customer's age. In most areas, valid identification requires both a photo and a date of birth. A current driver's license is the most common, but a few other government-issued documents may also be acceptable. Whenever someone young gives you an ID, check it carefully. Fake IDs can be quite convincing. If you're unsure about one ID, ask for others. Remember that underage customers may falsify several pieces of identification. If you still have doubts, call your supervisor or security.
I'm gonna have to get this approved.
You also have to try to prevent adults from buying alcohol for minors. Although these types of transactions can be obvious, they're usually hard to spot. If you're in doubt as to where the alcohol is going, ask. Explain that you might lose your job if a minor will be drinking it. Customers who have too much to drink are tougher to deal with, and you're likely to be an easy target, especially if you refuse to serve them alcohol. But never hesitate to say no and move on when necessary. If you pick up on cues that a customer is intoxicated, be firm but friendly and refuse the sale. Say, "I'm sorry, I can't serve you." Then move on to the next customer. The line will move forward on its own, and the customer you've refused to serve will usually choose to leave rather than create a scene. If the customer asks why, just say, "I'm not legally allowed to sell you any alcohol," and explain that you'd be risking your job if you do. You might even offer to serve them a soda instead. Above all, avoid provoking the customer. A comeback like, "Because you're drunk, that's why," is sure to make a bad situation worse. If the customer does create a scene, call for your supervisor or security personnel to back you up. Another way you can help your customers enjoy alcohol responsibly is by applying safe selling guidelines. Try to buy time to let an intoxicated customer process some of the alcohol from his body. For example, if you're in the stands, you may want to avoid a customer you think may be drunk. Suggest food to go with alcohol purchases and offer alternatives when a customer shows signs of intoxication. Soda won't sober anyone up, but it will buy time and keep a customer from drinking more alcohol. Finally, but perhaps most important, is your personal touch, your people skills. Even customers who have had one too many will usually respond to a polite and friendly request, a little eye contact and a smile. This personal tactic will often diffuse anger or deflect an argument, and it may also keep any people waiting in line from losing their tempers. The law requires you to make a reasonable effort to see that a customer doesn't drink too much. Using these guidelines will help you with that responsibility. If you combine what you already know about your customers with the tips you've learned in this program, you'll be able to sell alcohol safely and responsibly.
Stop. Learn anything new? Okay. So we'll review what you just learned then. Okay. It starts with your behavior cues. You got to know the behavior cues. They start with lowered inhibitions. Lowered inhibitions are basically people acting out of the norm. The more they consume, they may become touchy-feely. They may start talking louder. Okay. Definitely more relaxed. Okay. They're old and friendly. They move from that into judgment or lack thereof. So, which could be foul language in mixed company, off-color jokes. Okay. What you need to start paying attention is when their reactions start to come into play. Every time you serve somebody, you should be making idle chit-chat with them. Right? And when you're making idle chit-chat, look them square in the eye. Their eyes, the more they consume, their eyes become glassy, red, unfocused. Eyelids start to droop. Okay? So you want to watch for that initial cue. Slurred or deliberate speech. You know, they got to think about what they're going to order. Small motor skills. You probably never have a situation for a cash bar, so picking up coins off of the counter is going to work. But you know, if they got their drink in their hand 1 second, they're sitting there talking, and all of a sudden, boom, it's on the ground. Starting to lose some motor skills. So losing their train of thought happens to be stone cold sober, so I don't put a lot of credence in that. So lack of coordination is the last thing. If somebody comes stumbling up to you, you just forget it. You can't serve it. But always be aware and never assume the first drink you serve somebody is the first drink they've had. Okay? It's a bad thing to take that under assumption because, you know, especially if you have a private party and it's, you know, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden a bunch of people come in, they're already rowdy, chances are they've been someplace before they got here. Okay? BAC is blood alcohol content. Things to remember: 1 drink, 12 ounces of beer, 4 to 5 ounces of wine, depending on the alcohol content. 1 shot of 80 proof spirit, or 100 proof, 1 1/4 of 80 proof. So your liver can only process 1 drink an hour. Doesn't matter what size you are, it's not going to work any faster. If it's a damaged liver, it might work slower. Okay? Things to remember: some samples. A 150-pound man consuming 4 drinks in an hour should have a BAC of approximately 0.10. Right? If you had a 150-pound man and a 150-pound woman sitting next to each other drinking the same drinks over the same amount of time, the female should have a higher BAC than the male because based on percentage of body fat. Okay? Without everything else being equal, that would set them apart. And, if you had a 120-pound man and a 150-pound man drinking the same drinks over the same amount of time, the 120-pounder would reach a higher BAC faster than the 150-pounder because it's based on weight, right? And he's smaller, it's going to hit him faster. Tolerance. We all know somebody that could sit at the bar for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, and not look like he's had anything to drink at all, right? When in fact he's probably had 7 or 8 beers and is probably 3 sheets to the wind looking for more canvas. You shouldn't be serving him, but he's mastered the science of being intoxicated. He's mastered it. So, you know, he can talk straight, all his motor skills are there, and, you know, walk a straight line, but it's all tolerance. It doesn't mean he's any less intoxicated. Okay? It's like some people with medications. Some people could take cold medications and it doesn't affect them. Other people, they take it and they pass out. Okay? It's all about tolerance. If drugs are present, whether they're legal or illegal, the medications are going to enhance the effects of the medication. Okay? So if somebody comes up to you at an event and they're saying, you know, I got a couple aspirin, I got to wash them down, or, you know, I wrenched my back and I got to take some pain medication to for that, and give me a beer. Do you serve them? Maybe. You might warn them. You know, you might not serve them a second one. Okay? So you may want to just say, you know, what kind of medication is that? Get a background. Okay? And then make a determination. Nobody says you have to serve them. You can say you really ought to take something non-alcoholic with that. So, ID guidelines. First and foremost, every establishment with a bar that has outsiders into it should have a sign posted: the legal drinking age is 21. Okay? There should also be a secondary posting that 2 forms of ID are required. I like having that posted because should you ever encounter a minor at the bar and you ask him for proof, he pulls it out of his wallet, which he has to do. Okay? The only way to check proof is to have it in your hand. And you examine it and everything, and you don't like it. Well, the first thing you want to do is say, let me see some more ID. If they don't carry any more and you don't like the one he's got, it's a done deal. You don't have to serve him. And if he says, well, I'm 21 years of age, you can say, sorry, I need 2 forms of ID. Okay? Doesn't mean you have to pull that on everybody that comes up to the bar. But those that you're suspicious of, absolutely. And it's your way out without getting into an argument with someone. Okay? So, what is a legal ID? First of all, it has to be valid. If it's an expired driver's license, it's not valid, it can't be used. okay? So it's gotta be valid. Driver's license, the state issued ID, which is basically I call a non-driver's driver's license, military ID, passport, and now, I'm sure you have a lot of them running around Eggertsville, but green cards, okay? So, a backup ID is anything, most people don't have two forms of photo ID unless they have a gun permit or a work ID or, I don't know if you guys do photo IDs for the fire department or not, so that would be a secondary photo ID with a name on it. If you can't get a second piece of ID with a photo, anything that shows their name and address, okay? Credit card, debit card, they're fine, because if I'm giving my ID to somebody to go out drinking, certainly not giving them my credit card to pay for it. I'm a nice guy, but I'm not that nice. I doubt you guys have a UV light and it's not really a big deal, but if somebody hands you a driver's license and it's crumpled, run through the washing machine, looks like it might have been tampered with, yeah. So you don't have to accept it now, you'd automatically say I need something else. That's a sure sign, okay? Stuff you can get on the internet today is kind of foolproof. But it's not perfect. And there are books out there from beer distributors that you can get that show every driver's license in the states, all the provinces of Canada, and the U.S. territories and military IDs are all in here. And if the state has multiple licenses, like New York does, they have a minor license, they have the old license that people are still working with versus the new ones, and they have the enhanced driver's license. It'll show all the secret stuff that is hidden on the ID that you should be looking for. Having a UV light helps bring a lot of those security features out. Do you? No, I didn't think so. So, have a log handy. Your first line of defense, okay, is very important. When you do have a function and somebody's tending bar, there should be a book behind the bar that whoever's going to tend bar for the evening signs in, okay, and at the end of the evening they sign out. If nothing happened during the course of the evening, put a comment in there. Nothing happened. But if you proof somebody, and the person that you proofed, you didn't like their ID, so you asked them for another piece of ID. And they didn't like that, so finally you break out your book, you put it down in front of them, you put their ID down next to them, you say, look, fill this out, name, date of birth, sign it, okay? Look to see if their eyes leave the paper they're writing on to look for the signature. They may have memorized everything on that ID, but haven't practiced the signature, okay? Now, the book should be a bound book, something like this with numbered pages. I used to say this one was fine because what I did in this one is I went to that book and there's a form in there for age verification, and so I said, wow, I'll make this up, it'll be great, we can use that. Well, the only problem with this book is I can take pages in and out. So this wouldn't hold up in a court of law, all right? So next thing I said is, I'll go with a spiral, all right? Pages are all uniform and everything like that. It's better than that, but it's not perfect because I can remove the pages because they're not numbered. So if you go with a bound book with numbered pages, that's your best book to have behind it. And I don't care if it takes 5 years to fill it up, it really doesn't matter. So long as it's used, because if a lawsuit is brought against the fire district and whoever's bartending that evening, if you refuse to serve somebody, it should be in here. And you can refer back to that night, well, I refused to serve him. He came stumbling up to the bar, and I refused to serve him. If you don't know his name, you put a description of it in, okay? Or you ask somebody if they know him, whatever. But you can refer back to this. If you don't have documentation as to what went on during the course of the evening, now you got to rely on your memory. Can anybody here tell me what they did 3 years ago tonight? Outside of sleeping. Okay. So, you know, documentation, first line of defense, extremely important. If you refuse to serve somebody, automatically offer an alternative, a non-alcoholic alternative, whether it be coffee, water, you know, soda. It also will help diffuse the why and the argument that could ensue. So the law says you don't have to serve anybody. So it's your call. If you refuse to serve somebody, make sure if there's multiple bartenders working during the evening, everybody knows. Because if you shut me off, okay, your back's turned, I'm going down to you when you're not looking, and I'm going to get my drink. So if you shut somebody off, make sure everybody knows somebody shut off. Okay? Maintaining control is another function of this. Know where the alcohol is going. If you have a function and there's minors in the room, they're not going to be sitting right in front of the bar. Okay? They're going to be as far away from you as possible. Excuse me. You got a bottle of water or anything? No.
I get you.
Thanks. So, anyway, every once in a while, look for the minors. See if they have alcohol in front of them. If they don't have alcohol, if they got a pitcher of beer or something in front of them, you didn't serve it, proof them at the table. If they're not at 21, take it away. You have to watch out for the adults that think it's okay for a 20-year-old to still consume. Okay? Because they'll go behind your back. And never trust anyone. I bartended at a wedding in our hall, and the hall steward, who goes over all the rules, thank you, stood at the bar all night long, shooting the breeze with me. You know, don't serve this one, don't serve that one. That one's only 19 years of age. They come up, don't serve them. Okay, fine, Daddy. At the end of the night, I find out that his youngest daughter, 19 years old, he didn't tell me not to serve her. I didn't ask him because he was telling me everybody else not to serve. So, that was not nice of him, and I let him know. So, nobody's perfect. Got by me. Well, she looked 21. Absorption rate factors. How fast does the alcohol get into the system? All right? It varies depending on the size of the person based on their weight, the percentage of body fat in that size as well. You know, you could have a very heavy person with a large percentage of body fat, and that could take down the actual variation of the blood to alcohol. So, gender, males versus female. Females tend to have a higher percentage of body fat, so therefore the alcohol hits their system faster. Food, good to eat before going out drinking. Now, eating before going out drinking doesn't mean that you can now go out and consume 12 beers. Okay? I had a 3-course meal, I'm stuffed to the max, I can consume 12 beers. Over the same amount of time, that alcohol will eventually catch up to you and you will be intoxicated. So it's just going, food is going to slow it down. If you drink on an empty stomach, it's going to hit you that much faster. It can take up to 45 minutes for alcohol to be absorbed into the system fully. Strength of the drink. In a bar, in a regular bar where you're making mixed drinks, they should be measured. If you don't have a system for measuring drinks, then you should know what a measured drink looks like. In your standard glass, with ice, know what a measured shot looks like. Stick to it, all right? If you vary, like the bartenders did at our installation last week, you know, one drink is 3 shots. The next drink is maybe a shot and a half or less. So they're all over the board. So you get yourself in trouble, especially if you're a person that's paying attention to the crowd and counting them. So you want to be consistent in the drinks that you make. So that if you do count drinks, you have a better idea of how much you serve somebody. If you're all over the place, you have no idea. The rate of consumption. Is a person chugging the drinks? Are they having 3 drinks in an hour? Okay, or are they just coming up once an hour for a drink and they nurse it all for the next hour? So, mood plays a definite. You could you could have the best day of your life, have in a great mood, and 6 drinks feels like nothing. You could have the worst day of your life, and 1 drink hits you like a lead balloon. Okay. Last, I've already said this, drugs, whether legal or illegal, they don't mix. If you have to cut somebody off, say no and move on. All right. Offer an alternative, though. It helps diffuse the argument. So, but give clear reasons. My reasons should be the same as yours. It's the fire department. You want to shut somebody off, their safety is primary concern. Okay? You want to see them make it home in the same shape that they came in. Okay? So, and if they don't like that, you can always say, you know, cops go by, see all the cars in the parking lot, know there's a function going on, they'll be watching for you. So, that's 2 different things. And if anybody didn't see paper back in October, they had DWI'd a $10,000 ticket. Okay? Very important. When you go through all the charges and fines and attorney fees, increased cost of insurance, now DWIs are expensive, and they stick with you for 10 years. If they create a problem, you call for backup. Backup could be the person that is in charge of the facility that went over all the rules with the people. It can be the person that is hosting the special event. Okay? It could be another bartender. And last, it could be the police. It all depends on how far you have to go. The law says you have to make a reasonable effort. The ways to make a reasonable effort are you check the IDs thoroughly. Right? You have them out of the wallet and in your hand and you're going through them. If you haven't checked your ID to even know what it feels like, the front is textured, the back is glossy. There are no bumps in it. All right? But if you hold it under UV, you've got the state seal and a bunch of other security devices under that. Offer alternatives. Non-alcoholic drinks, snacks. Salty snacks, not a good choice. Okay? It just makes them more thirsty. Documentation is your best proof. Okay? And cut people off if you have to, and provide alternate transportation. But that does not mean that you drive people home. Okay? It means they have a designated driver. It means they have somebody at home that can come and get them. Or maybe you have somebody that's offering rides home. But you don't have to drive them home. You just don't allow them to drive. And I'll say this now, if I'm here and I can't drive, and I say, okay, here are my keys, now give me a drink. You can keep my keys, I'll come and get my car tomorrow. And you say, I'm sorry, I still can't do that. And the reason being is, I may not cause bodily injury to somebody with my car, but my wife may not like the fact that I came home drunk, and she may go nose to nose with me as I walk in the door, and if I hit her in the face and break her nose, that'd be the last thing I ever said. But, just in case, she could bring a lawsuit, okay? I've caused bodily injury to a third person. So she can sue you the same as if I hit her with the car. Alright? Now, if I get out of my car and I slip and fall on my sidewalk and I break my leg, it's my fault. Okay? Bodily injuries to me. I can't sue anybody because I'm the one that did the consume, right? So safe selling. When in doubt, don't serve. Nobody can force you to serve. If somebody tries to override your decision to not serve somebody, take out that little documentation book and you have them fill out their name and that they served them, okay? And you absolve yourself. I already talked about know where your alcohol is going. Buy time. Limit the number of drinks, not a big deal. Oh, by the way, we teach concessions because it's the shortest class.
Thank you.
All right. So for those who are wondering why we're watching concession stand workers, it's the shortest class. All the information is the same. It's just shorter by about 4 hours. Okay. So buying time. Time is their best friend. The more time they have in between drinks, the better. Right. Your personal touch. When you're talking to them, have a smile on your face. At the end of the evening, when you may or may not have to shut somebody off, if you've been pleasant to them all evening long, you will get less of an argument from them if you have to shut them down. Okay? So you make small talk every time and make eye contact. So make eye contact, spell checking the marker before. So you're reading your customers all the time. And as I said before, your best defense is your documentation. New York State is dram shop state, so common negligence, minimum standards for actions of reasonable persons should take to prevent problems. All right? Dram shop responsibility is for sales to minors or visibly intoxicated people. The laws are designed to make sellers of alcohol liable for any bodily injury to a third person. Okay? In New York, you can serve when you're 18, consume when you're 21. DWI is now 0.08, and it is a dram shop liability. All right, we're going to go to page 16. I'm going to run some vignettes on levels of intoxication. Level 1 is somebody that is drinking responsibly and being a good person. Level 2 is somebody that may be a minor or cause a problem down the road and you may need to watch them. A level 3 is somebody that is definitely intoxicated. So there's an example of each one to start, and then I believe there's 8 after that. Mark them 1, 2, or 3, and then we'll see how you did. Okay. You want to roll tape?
Roll tape.
Thank you very much.
Sure, have a good day. Hi. Can I have a beer, please? Can I see some ID? Sure.
Where's that last sign-in sheet?
Thank you. Thank you. That'll be $6.
Let's see.
That's one.
What would you like?
2 hot dogs, 2 beers, oh, and some popcorn.
Okay, the rest will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, can I have a beer, please? I'm in a rush.
Here you go. You can have that one. I'll just get another one. Just leave your money on the counter.
Hey, what happened to your other beer?
Oh, I gave it to that kid. She left the money right here.
He doesn't really care.
Nice guy.
Watch it, watch it. Sit down.
Will there be anything else? Yeah, give me some of the two beers, too. Ooh, and he is so cute. Ooh, do a little fun this. You think you go out to the girl, don't tell my husband. I asked them all that. They keep saying no, I keep asking. You can't hurt a girl for trying, can you? And how much is all this going to be?
This is going to be $23.
What do you think? No.
I really like, can I get a beer, please?
Who the hell do you think you are? Wanna stand in line and just buy in front?
It's not a problem, let's go.
I'm not talking to you.
Oh, I don't think so, sweetie.
I missed the game.
It's their fault for this one. I know.
Hi, 2 beers, please. Excuse me, do you think you can fill those up?
It's okay, go ahead.
It's $6 for a beer, they don't even fill it up.
It's not that big a deal.
Well, it is to me.
We're going to see a seat for you.
Okay.
Now you know I don't drink. Why did you just order me 2 beers?
Because they only give you 2 beers per person.
I don't want to come back to
That'll be $20.
Do you have $2?
He's too happy.
Hey, how are you?
Hi.
Good. Isn't this game great or what? I mean, I hated to leave my seat. There's been so much action going on. But I haven't seemed to be able to find the Avengers anywhere. Can I just go and get 2 beers? Here, before you ask, I know, I look young, but I promise I'm of age. Look, here's my ID.
All right, how'd you rate the first one? The woman in line buying the beers and the hot dogs? 2. Anybody 3? 3. I got 1 3. Any ones? Yeah. Couple of ones? Why'd you rate her a 3? You won. Okay. Was she intoxicated?
No. Questionable. That's why she's
Okay.
borderline.
All right. Who rated her a 2? Why? Lowered inhibitions. What was she doing to give you lowered inhibitions?
She was chatty Kathy.
How do you know her name was Ken?
Yeah, you know.
Who rated her a 1?
I know.
Why'd you rate her a 1?
Probably she'll find out. Normal.
Book rated her 1 because she was buying beer and food at the same time, so they feel she's drinking responsible. I, on the other hand, would agree with anybody to rate her 2 because telling somebody that you want to date somebody your husband doesn't mind, you know, that's acting a little bit out of the norm, maybe. That might not be difficult. But, you know, I think she's got lowered inhibitions and, you know, is on her way. That's my opinion. All right, man orders 2 beers from a vendor. What happened? The minor. Okay? For those who didn't catch it, as soon as that woman sat down, you could see the kid go down into the glass. You could also see the girl sitting next to him with a look of horror on her face when he was drinking. Okay? Horror. 2 guys order beers and another jumps in line. 3. Anybody at 1?
3 were a good person.
Anybody at 2? Oh, you're rating the individual that screamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why was he a 2?
You should test. I don't know if he's just a really bastard.
Well, I got a couple people. So I know what it is. Anybody want to tell me why he's a 2? And you was rated in 3, rated in 3, why? Alright. The book rated him a 2. He's got a bad attitude. Doesn't mean that he's intoxicated, but it means he has a bad attitude. However, you want, if that happened here, I would fully expect that person will be taken aside and have a stern talking to. That type of behavior is going to see the outside of the door looking in. Okay? So he's not going to create a friendly atmosphere. It's what your job is to do, is to create a friendly atmosphere. You got that guy in your establishment, he's not going to work for you. And if he's not intoxicated and acting like that, alcohol is not going to improve that personality. It's going to make it worse. Okay? I think he's a nasty drunk.
He was slurring too, wasn't he?
No, they wouldn't put swearing on the table.
Slurring.
Oh, slurring. No, it wasn't slurring. All right, 2 guys in the stands ordered beers. 3. Oh, come on. He had medical condition. All right. The whole 9 yards. Deliberate, slurred speech, very droopy eyes, drinking out of a flask. Of course, that could have been just water. Yeah. So, woman in line complains about the cup stop being filled up. 2, why? Anybody rated her 3? Got a couple that rated her 3. Who rated her 2? Why?
Behavior.
Okay. They rated her 2. She's the female version of the guy that screamed. She's got an attitude already, and all the beer that they poured in, she spilled out. Okay, so she's using poor judgment, and if she continues to drink, her attitude's going to improve or worsen, more than likely worsen, and she's going to be a nasty drunk. All right, 2 women in line. Woman orders 2 beers for herself and 2 beers for her friend. 3. Did I hear date night?
Yes.
So definitely in 3. 4 beers. What size are the beers? Anybody pay attention? 16-ounce beers. So if one drink is 12 ounces, she's got 5 in front of her. Okay? She's already 3 sheets to the wind. She puts those into her, she's going to be comatose. Okay? This would be a good date night.
Oh, yeah.
Young man orders beer and offers his ID. Why? Alright. Somebody takes the ID out, hands it to you that fast, you gotta wonder, okay? He looks like a baby Tiger Woods. So, you know, you check the ID out thoroughly. Right? It could be his 21st birthday, or he could be 30 years old. It's just gets proved every time he goes out. So he's ready. The check is proof. The check's out. Fine and dandy. Go ahead and serve. Otherwise, no. So they rated him a 2 because of his overeagerness. Roll the last 3. Now that you know you should get these next 3 perfect. Okay?
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You gotta fill the other stuff.
Yeah, me and 2 beers, okay? That'll do for 2 hours. Here, 2 beers. There you go. Keep it. Okay, thank you. Here.
Jerry, way to go.
Looks like you're having a great time.
We would have been having a better time if we would have showed up about 10 minutes ago. Where have you been?
I'm sorry for the delay, sir. What can I bring for you?
8 beers.
8 beers?
8 beers, quickly.
Yes, sir. I'll be right back with
Hey, Will, you're killing him out there, huh?
Your hands up. All right. And your check.
I'm here, please.
Alright, you can stop that. Alright, turn the page. You get them all right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Any questions regarding them?
I'm ready to challenge you.
No questions? No. Alright, you want to take 5 minutes? No.
Going.
Oh, that's right. Save it, Dave.
You're doing great. Yeah, you're coming.
The answers to those last 3, turn the page. They're on the next page.
All right.
Because you were wrong.
Now, everything's judgmental. All right. So we want to get to the Sabres game, so let's move right along. Yeah. Now that you know what a drunk looks like, how do you deal with them? All right. You know, when you point your finger, you know, how many point back at you? Intervention guidelines. Appropriate response. You want to match the level of your response to the customer's behavior. And trust me, a lot of times, especially if you know the person, if you don't like the person on the other side, you got to keep your attitude in check. Okay? You're a professional and treat everybody with respect. So, you want to avoid escalating, but be firm. Speak so that they understand you. Speak in a level tone, all right? Don't raise your voice. Make clear statements. You want them to understand what you're trying to say to them. Offer alternatives, non-alcoholic drinks, food. Use I in your statement. It shifts the focus off of the guest behavior and onto what you can and cannot do. So, you know, I'm sorry, I can't serve you. I have to serve you a non-alcoholic drink. Okay? It shows you take responsibility. All right? You care about it. You're on a one-to-one basis with it. You want to be non-judgmental. Ways of being non-judgmental. No put-downs. Never tell somebody they're drunk. Okay? You tell somebody they're drunk and the normal response is,
You're drunk.
maybe. No, I'm not. Okay? No threatening behavior. Don't raise your voice. Don't go nose to nose with them. Don't point your finger. Okay? It all comes back to haunting. Smile. it's disarming, okay? They're also wondering what the hell's going through your head. Nothing. Judgmental statements are perceived as a put-down and promote defensive behavior. Think about that one. Give reasons. Make the guest understand you're following the laws. Okay? You're not singling them out. You're not being a bad guy to them. You're just doing your job. Okay? Provide good service in indirect strategies when appropriate. Now, an indirect strategy is enlisting the help of friends. If there's a designated driver with them, and one guy's getting out of control and being obnoxious, talk to the guy that's sober and have him assist you in getting the other person under control. Limit the number of drinks. This isn't a situation when it's going to be, you know, a huge deal. So, in a regular concession stand situation, yeah. Always keep staff informed. Very important. You shut somebody off, everybody has to know. Know where your alcohol is going. Okay? And, see, 10,000 don't serve. Direct strategies. Always talking to your guests. You know, be pleasant with them. Offer the alternatives. Suggest non-alcoholic drinks. And offer alternative transportation. Oh. That's part 2. Now, we're going to, you have a 50-50 chance of getting them right on the next one, okay? A 1 is an inappropriate response by the bartender, and a 2 is an appropriate response. So you got a 50-50 chance of hitting it. Get more than 3 wrong, you have to stay for another hour. So, we're going to roll the first couple of our examples, and then go from there. I think there's 8 after that. The other 4, another 8.
Hey, how's it going?
Holy crap. I wish I could enjoy the concert like you guys.
Great. Can you guys do beers, please?
Okay, I need to see some ID. Hey. Hey.
Hi, can I get a beer, please?
Sure, just need to see an ID. Sorry, I can't take a school ID. Do you have a driver's license or something issued by the government?
Are you sure? It's a state school. Isn't that considered issued by the government?
Sorry, if this is all you have, I can't sell you a beer.
Sure.
Yeah, sorry. Hey, can I have 2 beers, please?
Sure, can I see some ID? Okay. You done?
Sorry, that's for 2 beers.
I know, but at this event we have a policy that we can only give you 1 beer per ID. Sorry, I don't make the rules.
Come on, they're both for me.
Sorry, I can't help you out. That'll be $5.
Man, it's bacon, man. Keep making me money that way.
Hi, how are you?
Shit, that's a little kind of slow.
I'm sorry to hear that. Can we get 3 beers?
I guess. Custom ID?
May I help you, sir?
You sure can, sweetheart. Give me a beer.
What are you doing after the game?
I'm going home. It's been a very long night. Here you go, sir.
Keep the change. You really have to call me sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, obviously, you're in control of yourself, but there's like one too many. Got to settle down. I can make sure of another beer. What do you want me to do? Look, I don't want you guys to get kicked out or anything. That's all. Okay, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Man, you gotta settle down.
That was an awesome concert.
Yeah. Sure. Don't
Take some of the run me a couple of beers for a ride home, baby.
I'm sorry, but this stand is closed. How did you guys get here tonight?
We drove. But you're gonna take us home with your life, sugar.
Sorry, I can't do that, but let me get you a ride.
Nah. Listen, I'm not. Come on.
Come on, guys. Please don't drive. Guys, come on. Security, there are two guys going out exit 14 right now. One in a black jersey with the number 8 on the back, and the other in a blue jersey with some gray sweatpants. They need to be asked not to drive home. Thanks.
Yes, I'm here.
I can see his ID. Hey!
Sorry, it's not your fault.
Hey, come back here! Thank you, sure.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. What can I get for you today?
We need 6 beers.
Okay, let me see your ID and we'll give you one verified you like to sign us. That's okay. Here are our IDs and we brought you our 4 friends' IDs. Because okay, I don't know if I can. Look, last time we were here, we actually spoke with one of your supervisors and they said if we did it like this, it was okay.
Yeah, why else would we wear the IDs?
I guess it's alright.
First one, appropriate or inappropriate? 1 or 2? 2. Let's see. Man tries to buy 2 beers.
Yeah, 2.
Why? I remember. Stuck to his guns. The rule said 1 beer per ID. Right? Didn't back down. That's the key. Did not change his mind and back down. 3 customers order beers. 1. Okay, 5? Didn't look at the IDs. You know, some of the IDs were almost 3 feet away from his face, so there's no way you can tell whether or not it was fake or not. Man orders beer and stands. 1. Okay, they rated her a 2, and this is because the guy was hitting on her. Okay, and she was very polite and put him in his place politely, and then walked away.
She didn't cart him.
She did what?
She didn't cart him. He was 105.
He had to call me sir. No, I cried dad. Brody crowd cries for beer. 2. What did the bartender do?
Kept on going.
Kept on going. Man with friends in his hands ordered beer.
2.
What did he do?
Talk to his buddy.
Okay, talk to his buddy. The guy was about to really get into a problem. I don't know if you noticed that as soon as he stopped picking on the little kid, he went and hit on the girl that was sitting next to him, whose boyfriend was on the other side of her. Okay, so that was not a pleasant thing. Intoxicated guys are leaving the bar. 2. What'd she do?
Call security.
Okay, she called security. First tried to talk him out of it, and then called security. And the kid buys beer from the customer at the stand. Why? Okay, she put up a valiant effort, but what did she do?
She didn't back it up.
She didn't back it up. She didn't call for security. Last couple comes up to buy some beer. Why? Sold them 6 beers. Just because they hand you the ID, how do you know it is who it is? You can't ask the cards questions, it's not going to talk back to you. Okay? So, alright, roll the last one. You got a couple more, 3 more.
Alright, just one, please.
Sure. Can I see your ID, please?
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah.
Can you take that out?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
How old are you?
21.
What's your street address?
1655 Macomb Street.
And what year did you graduate high school?
I graduated in like 90.
I'm gonna have to get this approved. Sorry.
Forget it.
Sure. Can I see your ID? Sure.
Here, honey, another bit.
Hey, section 23 row and a couple of guys are really drunk. We gotta keep an eye on them. Oh, and tell the other vendors, no more beer for those guys.
Okay, I'll also notify security.
Great.
Top flight.
Take 2 here. $10, please. Here you go. Sorry, you can't do that. Why? He's underage. It's okay. I'll take full responsibility. I can't allow that, sir. I need that beer back. If you were to take a drink in here, we'd lose our liquor license. Let me out of here. Plus, the security saw you, they toss you both out. Okay, here, take it.
Alright, you can shut it off. And take this right out of it. Turn the page, did you get them all right? Yeah. Alright, a couple of comments on it. The first one, when you're asking questions, which you should do while you're examining the ID, ask age-specific questions. What year did you graduate? Everybody knows what year they graduated from high school. Everybody knows that, so it should be able to roll off your tongue. Ask them where they live. Ask them, zodiac sign. I had a guy in class that his job was he was a sanitation engineer, and so he asked the guy once, "What day's garbage pickup?" So, for his house, and the kid didn't know. I said, well, that's a great question, but I don't think my kids know what day it is either. I don't think so, but you're always asking age-specific questions or questions that, you know, you may or may not know the answer to, and it really doesn't matter. You're reading their face, okay? It's all about reading their face. Everybody should be able to spit the answers off like that, but if they gotta stop and think about it, they might not be who they claim to be. On the last one, somebody tells you, don't worry about it, I'll take full responsibility. It's bull, okay? They'll take full responsibility until something happens, and then it's all your fault, okay? Junior drinks all night long, he's 20 years old, Dad says, don't worry about it, it's okay with me. He can drink. That night, Dad's passed out, Junior's got to drive him home. They get in an accident. Dad's not going to remember that he told him it was okay to serve, and you have no leg to stand on. You broke the law. Okay? The law is the law. Dad's in trouble already, but you're not in trouble. Okay? So you never take anybody's word for somebody's age, and you never serve somebody that's underage. It will come back and bite you. And lastly, I'll call what was wrong with the last one. Took the wrong beer back. Okay, review. Oh, yeah, no, practice session. All right, you ready? Here it goes. Serve? No, don't serve? Okay, done. All right, quick review, especially for those who came in staggered. All right. 70% of the population consume legal crime and sue anybody for anything they can, and most importantly, you can be held personally liable. The class is not about preventing DWI. It's about preventing public intoxication. Between your people skills and the management's rules, you'll be able to create a friendly atmosphere, maintain control, encourage responsibility or responsible drinking, and avoid problem situations. Behavioral cues are inhibitions, judgment, reactions, coordination. BAC. A drink is considered 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, 1 ounce of 100 proof spirits, or 1 1/4 ounce of 80 proof spirits. Special notes, your liver cannot process more than 1 drink at a time, or in an hour. All right. 150-pound man drinking 4 drinks in an hour should have a BAC of approximately 0.10. If you had a 120-pound man and a 150-pound man drinking the same amount of drinks over the same amount of time, the 120-pound man will reach a higher BAC faster than the 150-pound man. And if you had a 150-pound man and a 150-pound woman drinking the same amount of drinks over the same amount of time, the female will reach a higher BAC faster than the male. Tolerance only masks the level of intoxication. Doesn't mean they're any less drunk, okay? It's just their ability to mask the signs. Drugs do not mix with alcohol. ID guidelines, first you have to have it in your hand. You need to check. Your best is to check all IDs, but generally most people, anything that looks under a certain age limit, you check it. Definitely under 21. It has to be legal and valid, and legal is driver's license, a non-driver's ID, a passport, a military ID, or a green card. Backup ID can be car registration, credit or debit card, or work ID, something with a photo. The ID must be removed from the wallet, must be current, and that's about it for there. Absorption rate factors. The size of the person, based on weight, gender, male or female, food, did they eat or are they drinking on an empty stomach? The strength of the drink, rate of consumption, the mood of the person, or drugs. Body fat does not absorb alcohol. why I'm a lean, mean person. Alright, cutoff guidelines. If you have to cut somebody off, say no and move on. Offer alternatives, non-alcoholic beverages or food. Give clear reasons for your actions. If you have to, call for backup, which could be a bartender, person in charge of the facility, the host, or last resort police. The law says you have to make a reasonable effort. You make that by checking ID, offering alternatives. Documentation is your first line of defense. Okay, so you want to document everything. Cut customers off and offer alternative transportation. All right, safe selling. When in doubt, don't serve. Know where your alcohol is going. You want to buy time. It's their best friend. Your personal touch. You want to be pleasant, make eye contact, and always talk to your customers. Can't stress documentation enough. New York, 18 to sell, 21 to consume, DWI 0.08. All right, intervention guidelines. Appropriate response. You want to match the level of your response to the customer's behavior. You want to avoid escalating, but be firm and speak in a level tone. You want to make clear statements. Make sure the customer understands what you're talking about and offer alternatives. Use I in your statement. Shows you care about them and it shows you're taking responsibility. Non-judgmental. Never put the customer down. Never make threatening gestures and always smile. You want to give reason for your actions. Okay, very important. I like their safety and their wallet. Okay, that's the police. Provide good service and indirect strategies. Direct strategies, always talk to your customers, offer alternatives, suggest non-alcoholic drinks and alternate transportation. Indirect, you enlist the help of friends, you avoid areas of concern, get second opinions on ID, and make sure your staff all knows. Any questions? No. All right. On those that didn't fill out everything when they first got in here, the last 2 pages in your book you want to pull out. The address should be, you can put the fire hall address down, the card should be mailed to whatever address you put down. The employer is the fire department. After your zip code, it's USA, country, not county. If you put your social security number down, it's only the last 4 digits. I don't want any more than that. My trainer ID at the bottom, or in the very bottom. The test number is 202, which is towards the center in the bottom. In class is the training method. The trainer's name is Tom Brady, and the trainer's code is 13829. Now, I'm going to hand you the 20-question test. I'm going to ask you to not write on my test sheet. Only write on your answer sheet. If you get a test sheet where somebody actually wrote on the test sheet and circled the answers,